Something we talked about before we got on the show here, we were talking about what happens to athletes sometimes after the game. And I just want to touch on that for a second because I think it's important for people to hear. Um, I think, as you know, it's so hard for people to have the spotlight on them and they're such a hero and people idolize them and they don't see all the negatives that, people that in your immediate family might see, like arguments about taking out the trash or you're just a real person, right? So the spotlight ends, you're a soccer dad or whatever you become, and that becomes really hard for former athletes in particular.
Yes.
Can you just touch on that a little bit about how hard it is to find your purpose and what some people go through?
Yeah. It's really, really hard because you get very accustomed and very used to the attention. And it's really hard not to enjoy the attention. And it's very easy to get that kind of ego. I actually acquired a narcissistic entitled mentality because of all the attention that I got. And I almost became numb to a lot of things that most everyday people have to go through in terms of relationships. What does the word love mean? How does it make you feel? How does it deal with your relationships? I'm the one that's important, not the people that are around me, right? So
Right.
you, when you're done with the game, it's not it's that what have you done for me lately? It's all of a sudden the media stop calling you. People don't recognize you as much on. You just become more irrelevant, and that's a very difficult thing to do. You wake up and you don't have a place to go. You wake up in the morning, it's like, what am I going to do? Usually you go to the rink, you work out, you have purpose. You're going to see the guys that become your family. It's a lifestyle that is very easy to get addicted to. And now all of a sudden it's not there. You don't have anybody to tell you that you don't have to work out. Don't have to tell anybody that nobody's going to tell you what you have to eat anymore, or what you can drink, or what you have, when you have to be in bed, or when curfew is. You have all these things that are now opened up to you. And you're like, what am I going to do? So where is my purpose? Your purpose by playing was to win hockey games, going on the ice, entertaining. You had a lot of stuff like that. And it's very hard to kind of take that sports mentality where you are an icon or you are a hero, as people say, or a celebrity, as people say, which I hate the word. Um, but it's hard to understand where's the real important part, and that's your family, your wife, your kids, your relationships with your friends. Um,
Right.
and you kind of it's hard to kind of find, okay, am I going to do a job? Am I going to work? Where's my next paycheck going to come from? Do I have enough money? There's so many things that come into post career that if you don't take care of it while you're playing, you don't think about how that change of lifestyle works, you can get lost really quick. And I got lost. I mean, I was addicted to the attention. I was addicted to the lights of the cameras and the people saying I love you and people saying you're great. And
Yeah.
it's as great as it is, it's really not so great when you let it take over your brain, take over your life.
So what did you do when you were ending? Like, did you know you were going to go get into media? Did you have no idea what you wanted to do after?
I didn't know. I was one of the fortunate ones where I asked Doug Wilson, what am I going to do now? When we talked in his office, when we decided that it was over, I said, I don't know what I'm going to do now. And Doug Wilson says, you can do whatever you want. And I'm
Right.
like, that sounds interesting. I was just very fortunate that February was the Winter Olympics in 2010, and
Oh,
I was fortunate enough to get a job with NBC to go work those Olympics, and I ended up working them for 10 years. And even though it ended on a tumultuous, terrible ending, I had 10 years on television talking about the greatest game in the world, being able to go into people's living rooms and have fun with them the same way I was doing it on the ice, but in a different realm, right? So
right.
I was fortunate. I had a little bit of purpose afterwards.
Good. All right, let's talk about the state of hockey for a second. How do you think the game has changed most since your playing days?
Well, let's go with the positives first,
Okay.
right? Let's go with the positives. The positives are these kids are so talented. Every single one of them is talented. They can skate like the wind. They can shoot the puck as hard as they've ever shot it. They are more talented in terms of their physical ability. Um, they look 10, 15 years younger than we looked when, back in the 80s. I didn't see an ab on a hockey player until I was like 26 years old. The workouts were 16 ounces going this way rather than pushing the dumbbells, right? So they take care of it. They take care of themselves better. They make more money. I think it's a bigger business, so they take it more seriously.
Mm-hmm.
It's more of an all year round profession. Whereas when I was playing back in the early 90s, when the season's over, you didn't do anything until you started skating again in September, right?
Right.
So it's like, so these kids are so talented. I'm telling you that the fourth liners today could play on the first line in the 90s. What separates them is they're just not as intelligent. They're not as smart. Some of them don't have the hockey IQ mentality at the higher pace level of their talent, right? So it's fast, it's strong, it's still, but I think the toughness has decreased immensely. I think their ability to play through pain, to play through injury, the craving to fight, the passion, the overall love for the game,
Mm-hmm.
which would cause people to fight as much as we did,
Right.
to inflict as much pain as we could, to battle through our own pain so that we can play. I think that kind of mentality has definitely subsided a lot, because you'll find a lot of guys today, if they get hurt, it's actually a way for them to, it's an excuse for them to miss more games,
Right.
because the pressure that they are under to produce at the amount of money that they're making. Hey, listen, if I'm not in the game, you can't expect me to score. So, whereas that wasn't the mentality before. If
Got
we
it.
left the game and somebody came in to play better than us, they'd take our jobs. So
Right.
we had to stick in there. We had to stay in and make sure that we kept playing, even though we were probably not in the condition to play, because we were afraid of the things that were going to happen. I don't think that mentality is the same today, because they make too much money. And I just don't think that the respect of the history of the game is as strong as it used to be.
Right. I'm curious why you think hockey still struggles with diversity compared to other major sports.
I think a lot of reasons. I think number one, because the accessibility of the being able to play the game.
Mm-hmm.
If you're playing baseball, you can just go out to a field and throw a ball. You can go find a court to play basketball, which are all over the place. Go to a school, find a court to play. Football, you find any piece of grass, you can go play. Soccer, same thing. In order to really play hockey, you need an ice sheet. There's a lot of places where there's not really ice sheets to have. Rinks are at a minimum. They're expensive. Equipment's expensive. It doesn't, hockey doesn't flow to the side of people that don't have good resources, and resources in terms of where they live, being able to get on the ice, being able to afford the equipment. I think it's definitely grown. I mean, our diversity in hockey has grown immensely over the last 15 years, to where more African Americans are playing the game more than ever now. Now we have a professional women's league, where,
Yeah.
which I think is fantastic. We give now young women something to look forward to and aspire to play in a professional women's hockey league. So it's definitely changing. But it's definitely the dynamics of, you know, it's an expensive sport. There's no
Yeah,
question yet,
for sure.
and the ability to play it easily.